Hello everyone and welcome to another video. How is everyone doing and how is your start of the week? Well, for today's video, I am coming with a different mindset. This specific game was not something intentional. I wanted to try lethal tempo, and by mistake, I kept unsealed spellbook. Usually I don't play that much with that setup unless I know the game is lost 100%. Or I am at the end of the season trying to bring out the best of Volibear. But yeah, I thought I picked the right rune and went to the toilet. Came back to find this mess, but as I say, it's never about the builds. It's never about the runes. It is always about the mindset. If you have the correct mindset, you should be winning naturally. That is why this video will showcase how you can win when you don't feel like winning. So before we start, make sure to have the proper mindset while watching this video, and hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, drop a like, leave a comment, since that will help the channel much, and I really enjoy interacting with you guys. So, we start with the usual. I thought like any regular jungler that ganking bot side, pathing towards bot side, will be the right answer to start again. Of course, I am playing having in mind that this early in the game with unsealed spellboo, I don't have enough damage to invest in very prolonged fights. But if played properly, just one rotation of spells should be enough to kill one target. And look and behold, we make a mistake. My mistake was that I was a little bit impatient and went for an aggressive play while the wave was slowly coming. Putting that aside, I didn't say anything, so the play was fine. They were already winning the lane, and my presence reinforced that idea, but we didn't get anything out of that. And since that was a fail, luckily for us, we did that play after full clearing our jungle. In other words, we tried to use our dead time to make an impact in the game. So we backed, spent our gold, and got back to the game. And what should we do next? Another full clear. But since we wasted a little bit of time and ruined our rotations, we will do a full clear from bot side to top side. Why? Because based on that play, I don't want to be around bot side anymore. Why? Because they are already winning. And because sometimes bad plays tend to happen in the same situations around the same people. So, to keep the same and correct mindset, I wanted to move to the top side. The top side is already losing, and we have a Yone. And characteristically, Yone players need that 10 deaths power spike. So in the hope that my presence will help my top laner gain a strong footing in this game, I wanted to make a play in the top lane. And luckily, our mid laner was the man of the hour, and someone that correctly rotated to the grubs, which was very fortunate for us because, as you know, in the Baron bit, it is usually a 3 versus 3 situation. It's similar to the bot side, but in the top side, there is more damage than utility, unlike bot side, so the ones that start hitting in the fight tend to win that encounter. This is based on my experience. If you're fighting for grubs or rift and you take a lot of damage, just give up the rift. Don't give kills because you lost that fight. It's like the Wild Wild West. First draw is the first win, with correct aiming of course. Unlike bot side, those fights needs anticipation, a little bit of drama, trying to bait the enemy spells. But in this situation, we are against Mordekaiser, Viego, and Yasuo. Hence, if Mordekaiser ults someone, most likely they won that match. If Viego gets one kill, they won that fight. So yeah, same scenario, just different flavors. A lot of you may wonder why I'm maxing Bite first. Well, as you can see, we got sent to Brazil by Mordekaiser and managed to survive the Death Realm. Why? Because of the healing. And in the next few minutes, I will be completing my Winter's approach and getting a shield, which is very broken against mages. Yes, I found the secret technique to counter mages. Shields. Volibear is exceptionally good with the upgraded Thimble Winter. Yes, this game is a mess. Everyone is losing. Our mid laner is the only one actually playing well, thankfully. The rest? Well, they're pretty much lost. So I'm building for the mid and late game, not the early game. Everything I did this match was to prolong the early game into a peaceful mid game, leading to a winning late game. And how do we achieve that? By playing around my team. If we had any other mid laner besides this champion, the game would have ended long ago. Simply because this champion is broken, it can negate all mobility in the game. It's like Sinjid's wife, if I dare say. So yeah, this pick was huge. Much better than Anivia, in my opinion, except for wave clear. As you can see, we managed to kill the salty Mordekaiser with Yasuo, and that play allowed us to secure a major objective. Now, another aspect of this game is that the enemy team was slightly smarter than your average team. Once they lost that fight on the blue side, They started clearing wards and setting traps in our jungle. That's a smart plan, and a solid way to win tough games in solo queue. A bit of coordination can give you a huge advantage over 5 random players who can't communicate beyond emotes. And let's be honest, no one reads the emotes, so we never know what they're trying to convey. After surveying the map, I noticed the main damage dealer was Brand, and if we kill Brand, we gain a massive advantage, even if it takes 2 ultimates to do so. We'll still have the upper hand in a 4 versus 4. Why? Because my build doesn't rely on my ultimate. It's meant to sustain and prolong teamfights in our favor. We deal damage just by existing, absorbing hits and chipping away at the enemy. So, the moment I saw Brand, I knew the fight was already won. Everything went according to plan. We killed them one by one, even though it looked like a team fight. But their champions didn't synchronize well. On our side, we have Baby Baron, your typical main character, and of course, the enemy villain. Oh, and don't forget the grumpy, non-playable character, yours truly, the bear. I'm like the guardian at the dungeon's entrance, waiting for you at the door. I already predicted the outcome. We killed them all and secured the Baron. Now, what does this mean for us? This will be huge for us. It gives us gold, experience, and pressure for pushing. But there's a downside, overconfidence. Now we think we're invincible, specifically me. I can feel it creeping in, and that's dangerous because it's usually when I throw the game. Knowing your limits is crucial because one mistake at this point could cost us the game. Here's my advice. Even if I don't follow it, you should. Play carefully in the late game because death timers are long, and the enemy team can easily take advantage of a misstep. If you play recklessly like I sometimes do, you put your team in a risky position. If you die, your team will end up like headless chickens, lost and waiting to be devoured by the enemy wolves. Always target the right champions. For us, if Brand dies in every fight, we win. Yasuo? Doesn't matter. We have Lulu. She can polymorph him. But Brand can outrange us and deal tons of damage while we're permanently slowed by Rylai's Crystal Scepter. He spreads fire, and suddenly everyone's losing HP, getting slowed, and if we stand too close, we start exploding. That's enough to tilt your ADC into flaming. So yes, killing Brand is key. One more thing about this build. I usually fear Vayne, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. She shreds through tanks like a hot knife through butter. But with this build, I barely noticed her. I don't know if it's because she was behind or focusing other targets, but in every fight, I stayed alive long enough to absorb damage and crowd control, while also doing significant damage to their carries. Of course, Unsealed Spellbook helped a lot. Its utility allows you to flip situations unexpectedly. For example, you can swap Flash with Cleanse, survive a stun, and then use Flash a few seconds later. Since you're tanky, you can survive that long, leaving the enemy wondering, is this guy Houdini? With all the random spells you pull out, they'll start playing cautiously around you, not knowing you're just a big lump of meat with unpredictable spells. Honestly, even I don't know what spell I'll pick until I get a glimpse of the future. I just calculate based on what's needed. Maybe Flash, maybe Ghost, maybe Barrier. It all depends on the situation. There's no set formula. Maybe I'll make one up in the future. But for now, I just go with the flow, picking the most useful spell that catches my eye. In this exact moment we went with Teleport, and it was the right thing to do. And of course, in every story, there's a plot twist. In our case, it came with the overwhelming overconfidence we built throughout this game. I was so convinced I would survive this encounter that I dove straight into the middle of 5 enemies. Why? Well, I saw Cassiopeia and thought, yes, she's strong. If I can reach her in time, she'll survive the damage. But that plan went completely against what I had envisioned just a few seconds earlier. It's a good reminder that your team is still the same bunch of players you started with at the 1-minute mark. They don't suddenly get smarter. You should lead by example. Thankfully, we're back alive, and the enemy didn't get much from that mistake. However, a slight adjustment to our strategy was necessary. Yasuo became an issue because he ditched his team and started split pushing. And as fearsome as that strategy is, especially since we use it ourselves, we still need to deal with him. He's always on the opposite side of the map, far from his team. So if we can catch him when there's a minute left before an objective, or when we're pushing for an inhibitor, it will be very beneficial. Now, after that realization, the next step is taking valuable objectives. namely, the inhibitors, and hopefully, 2 of them. Sometimes your team needs someone to stand in front as a shield, and that's where we come in. Since we don't care much about dodging skill shots or absorbing damage, but if Lulu is behind you, just dodge it and let her take that hit. But in general, you lead and you let your team follow behind. With that, we'll get an inhibitor for free. Afterward, we'll go back to doing what worked in the mid-game, picking winning fights. And how do we do that? By clearing wards and baiting the enemy into a bad engage. In this specific game, we let them engage, which worked out perfectly for us. We had Cassiopeia, and even if she died, we still had the damage to clean them up, focusing on Brand, then Vayne, and then whatever was left. Of course, things don't always go as planned, and awkward situations arise. But I've noticed that taking Ignite, whenever it's available, is always the right choice. If you're unsure about which spell to pick, just take Ignite. That's my advice. The rest will come naturally as you get more comfortable playing Unsealed Spellbook in the jungle. Now, why did I prioritize Yasuo over Brand in this specific situation? It's because of Wind Wall. I was thinking, I don't have projectiles, so it's fine for me, but it wasn't fine for Kog'Maw. Sure, he can die, but he needs to do his damage before saying fair walls. When it comes to skirmishes, play smart. In other words, don't always put your life on the line for others. But in team fights, where it's 5 versus 5, you should be willing to die for the team, as long as it's for a good purpose. If it's a skirmish, however, evaluate the situation. If your allies die and you get all the kills, that's worth it. If not, focus on maximizing your benefit from the encounter. Well, that was it for this video. I guess I already asked you to subscribe and do the usual ritual at the start, hence here's the last play. Just remember, don't tilt, play smart, and ban Lilia. Until the next video, take care and peace.